Last year was a difficult one for high school athletes. Heartbreak compounded for Northview's Meghan Coakley. A torn ligament derailed her junior year and threatened even more. But she is a defender, after all. Coakley is back and not letting any kinds of goals slip by, especially the one she set to return to the field. Meghan Coakley may not look the same on the field, but she feels the same.
I don't think about it anymore. I can play. That's the big part.
1 year later, that's amazing.
I was just running in what was like a typical corner. The goalie got it first, so I went to turn and run back to defend. My ankle just rolled out, my knee hyperextended, and it just popped. My pacer coach was like, all right, I want you to get an MRI because I don't really think it was a fibula. Got an MRI done, and then they said my ACL and PCL were completely torn. And that's when I just knew my season for a while was just gonna be gone.
The tear required surgery and significant healing. Forget soccer for a while. Day to day, dealing with the injury was a challenge.
The next day, it's like I could not flex my muscle. I could barely move it, couldn't bend it. And that's when it just hit me. I was like, I can't walk, I can't do anything like that. I can't drive my car. I had to sleep downstairs because I can't go upstairs.
But forgetting soccer entirely, that's not how Coakley is wired. That's why she's here right now.
You can. Good, Megan.
I'm a very competitive person, and so when I knew that this was going to be a huge setback for me, I didn't want to fall so behind everyone else, because I went from being one of the fastest to having to learn how to walk and run and jog. I went through my therapies, and I switched to a thing called sports metrics, which is supposed to help your jumping, landing without your knees going in or out. I felt so much stronger. By the end of it, I was like, I'm not going to be afraid to come back.
And you just knew from that point that this kid was going to have such a tremendous attitude towards getting herself back on the field. And she worked so hard. She didn't stop, she listened to the doctors, she took everything really seriously, and she's showing it on the field just how great of a recovery it is.
She was cleared 4 months ago, well ahead of schedule, and she's at ease, even if parents and opponents aren't.
Wasn't nervous for my first tackle at all. Yeah, my parents were scared, and they're like, you should not be playing this much. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good. All my doctors, my surgeons, therapists, they believed me.
Our back line as a whole has been absolutely tremendous. We haven't conceded a goal in 8 games, I think, and she's a huge part of that back line.
Hey, come back in.
Her leadership, the way that she organizes, and quite frankly, her determination to win. She doesn't want people scoring goals against us, and what a tremendous asset that is to us at Northview.
And to somewhere else next year. Returning to the field is not just a game changer.
Unfortunately, her injury came at a time of her junior year where, most kids are looking at colleges. But I think, being able to come back so strong this fall, I know she's on a lot of people's radars.
It's a life changer.
I'm getting new coaches looking at me who didn't know that I tore my ACL until they come to the game and they're like, oh, you have a brace. And I'm like, yeah. If anything, I feel like it makes me look stronger in a way, because sometimes people don't come back from this the same. And I feel like I'm getting better than what I used to be.
Coakley is receiving interest from multiple schools, including at the Division I level, and the Wildcats are entering the last few games of the year at 8-3-1, unbeaten in the NLL.